Good afternoon. Anyway, turn off. Good afternoon here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Vegas Strong and Fearless. Another show, another episode, another exciting day is occurring. And I hope you're having a wonderful day. Now, usually at the end, I begin by asking folks to contribute, but we're going to change a little bit. We're going to begin by asking folks to contribute. Go to my Facebook, or you can log in YouTube. VegasStrongandFearless.com. It's important to put .com. And you're going to see a button where it says donation. Donate. Whatever, $1, $5, $10. Because this money is being used to increase the show. To be able to put the show out there in all over the world. You know, we have 1,500, 2,000 members. That's our goal, 2,000. And this show and both shows, the other show, I hope you're going to be looking at the other show. It's more spiritual. It's called thelivingkingdomchurch.com. Look at that show. It's going to be encouraging. And that's the whole idea, to encourage you, to make you strong, to make you powerful. And today's show, Vegas Strong and Fearless, the subject, the power of negative thinking. Now, some will say, what do you mean? There's power in negative thinking? There is. When I was growing up, there was a book by a gentleman, Norman Vincent Peale. He wrote a book he called The Power of Positive Thinking. I looked at that book. I read that book. It had tremendous influence in my life. It's one of the books in my life that really, really influenced me, encouraged me, strengthened me, excited me. And the other book that really changed my life, the Holy Bible. But that particular book by Norman Vincent Peale changed my life as I read it. And if you haven't read that book, read it. Go to the library, go to Amazon, get it. It's going to make a big difference in your life. I just know it will. Because it deals with the power of positive thinking, which you and I, that's the way we should be living. But at the same time, today, I was walking in the park last week, and I'm in touch with my Creator as I talk to Him. And as I begin every show, I said, the Almighty, the Universal God, the Father, and I are one. The Spirit of God and I are one. The Son and Jesus and I are one. That's the way I begin the show, and that's the way I live. Anyway, I was walking through the park, and I'm thinking on this particular book, The Power of Positive Thinking. And the revelation came to me in his own quiet way. He said, I want you to talk about the power of negative thinking, which I didn't understand when he told me that. I said, wait a minute. Negative power, there's power in negative thinking? He says, yeah, there is. So I began to think about the subject. The power of negative thinking. You see, we live in a society that is very, very difficult for us to say no. This country, others country, as you study their history, have asked for help, financial help, and we say, okay, yes. Children crying, and we say, we better take care of that child and listen to that child, and whatever that child wants, We need to give that child. But that's not always true. Once in a while, not only once in a while, a lot of times, we have to learn to say no. And the word no is negative. The power of negative thinking. Now, I'm not talking so much about the negative energy or the negative influence. Well, let's backtrack. I'm talking about the word negative and its power and its influence that it will have in your life. There is power in negative thinking. But keep in mind, we need both the positive and we need the negative. Example, when is the power of negative thinking good? Well, the other day, I wanted to watch the NBA playoffs. I love basketball. So I go to my TV, I get the click, the remote control, I hit the click, nothing's going on. The TV is not coming on. I said, what's going on there? And one of the batteries was being disconnected from one of the fields, one of the force, the field in the click. And I pushed the battery in, and it was a negative battery. Because in the battery, I mean, and the remote control is positive, negative. So I pushed in the negative, and I saw the TV come on. Ah, that's positive. Utilizing the negative to bring on TV. So the negative force can be used, but keep in mind, it could be a means to an end. I used that, and the means to the end was to put the TV on. Another example, that the power of negative thinking is good. If you go to a particular location, and maybe it's a military location, and there's a fence around that particular building, it says, do not touch or enter into this particular field. And don't touch the wires, because they're electric wires. You're going to get electrocuted. Well, that's a negative field, but it's a means to an end. And the positive is it's securing the location. So there are times, a lot of times, when the negative is a plus. But how do you use that negative force is very, very important. Be aware of the influence of the power of negative thinking. Another example. Someone gives me a drink of alcohol. I used to love to drink. I don't drink anymore. And the reason I don't drink anymore, because that alcohol, which is the poison, by the way, was having an effect on my body. And when I realized the effect it was having on my body, I let it go. Negative result. My body was getting sick. So, in that sense, I realized the power of the negative influence that alcohol had on my body. What about cigarettes? You smoke? Hey, that's your choice. But the power of that negative influence on your life is going to affect you in a negative way. You're going to get sick. You're going to get cancer, lung cancer. You're going to get some coughs. You're going to be... Okay, so it's important to realize that negative power cigarettes and the influence is going to have in your life. So you can go the other way too and say, this is negative and it's not good for me. The influence of that thought of that negative force, whatever it may be, can be a plus or a minus. If you learn to realize the power of negative thinking in certain things, that could be positive, a means to an end. Now, the power of negative energy leads to a result. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. Again, another example. You get in your car, you turn the key, it starts. But remember, the reason it's going to start is because you got two poles on the battery. You got the positive and the negative. Now that's a plus there. It ends to a means to start your car. So if it doesn't start and it's the battery, then you say, well, something's wrong. And you take the battery out and you go and you check it out. It may not be any good. You see, you need the positive and you need the negative. Do not neglect the negative and the power and the influence that it can have on your life. If you learn to utilize that power in a good way and learn to say no to alcohol, no to too much sex, no to too much cigarettes, no to too much pornography. See, all that stuff is negative. And so there's tremendous power in that power of negative thinking. We need both of them, positive and negative. You are a negative field. Your body, you are energy. That energy that we have in our body is both positive and negative. Well, we're going to conclude here. Remember, you're an energy field. You need both, but what field are you feeding? You could feed the positive, which I encourage, or you can feed the negative, which I discourage. However, being aware of the influence of the positive is a plus. Being aware of the negative can be a plus, but if you submit to that energy of negative energy on an ongoing basis, no good. It's going to affect your life. And my whole life here is to live strong, Vegas strong, and fearless. I want to conclude with a little story here. You have a choice. You ever seen that commercial where you have a little angel over here and you have a little devil over here and you're walking in life and you have a choice which one you're going to submit to or which one's going to win? And it all depends which one you're going to feed. Someone told me like a dog was fighting with another dog and one represents positive and the other one represents negative. And the person asked his friend, well, who's winning the fight? And the other gentleman responded by saying, it all depends which dog you're feeding. You could feed the positive or you could feed the negative. But the whole point of this this topic, the power of negative thinking, is for you and I to be aware of the power of negative force in your life, in my life. Be strong, be courageous, and God bless you. And next week, we'll be dealing with a different subject. We'll see you next week. Thank you.